Completing the cooking collection in Stardew Valley sounds simple at first, but the moment you try to complete it in order, everything becomes so much harder. Recipes unlock at completely different points in the game, ingredients are locked behind different seasons, different friendships, and late game areas, such as Ginger Island, and missing a single Queen of the Sauce show can delay our progress for an entire year. And some recipes don't just require ingredients, they require other recipes that come after them in the list. That's going to be a problem, because if you're completing the cooking collection in order, you are not allowed to skip anything. If you saw one of my previous videos of mine where I completed the entire shipping collection in order, this is basically that idea taken one step further, this time for cooking. And if you enjoy watching Stardew challenges that are stupidly random like this one, consider subscribing. It really helps me out and allows me to continue making more videos just like this one. And without further delay, let's start the cooking. Looking at the first two recipes we'll have to tackle, things start off relatively easy. The fried egg is the first and is unlocked automatically and only requires a single egg to make. The next one is omelette, which also requires just a single egg and a single bit of milk. The main issue is the recipe for the omelette is locked behind watching Queen of the Sauce on the 28th of spring. So until that point, the plan was simple. I planned to speed through most of the game as fast as possible, while slowly working towards a coop, barn, and also the community centre. Compared to the shipping collection video, I had to focus heavily on friendships this time. That's because half of the recipes are unlocked through 3 and 7 heart mail. For spring specifically, I focused on getting Emily to 3 hearts to unlock the salad, and also Pam to 3 hearts to unlock the cheese cauliflower, 2 recipes coming up fairly quickly. I also knew I couldn't progress much further than that, as the next recipe was the baked fish, which requires watching Queen of the Sauce on Summer 7, so I had nothing else to do. And so I blasted through my first spring. I was fishing, mining, farming, anything that really pushed my progress forward. By the 12th of spring, I had already reached floor 100 in the mines, and then later pushed down all the way to floor 120. The goal was to grow as much as possible early on, and also catch every fish I knew I would need later. On the 15th of spring, I made a strange decision that normally would make no sense at all. I bought the first house upgrade. Normally this is completely unnecessary, especially since you can cook using the cookout kit. But because the entire challenge revolved around cooking, it felt wrong to not have at least a kitchen to do it in. And that meant on the 18th of spring, the house upgrade was finally finished. This meant I could finally see every cooking recipe I'd unlocked so far, and would also allow me to start cooking. Around the same time, I had enough gold and resources to start building myself a coop. Conveniently, it was also Pam's birthday today, and giving her a parsnip pushed her to 3 hearts, which meant the next day she would mail me the recipe for the cheese cauliflower. I couldn't make it yet. I still hadn't reached level 6 farming and finally unlocked the cheese press. When I did, I'd be able to cook it. On the 21st of spring, I bought my first chickens, and looking back on things, I should really have started on the Meadowlands farm, but you know me by now, I do stupid things, and I do like making challenges harder for myself. I did, however, make one decision I was very happy with. Pierre's birthday's on the 26th of spring, and he only has 2 love gifts, fried calamari, which I couldn't make, and the prize catalogue. And as it turns out, the bookseller was in town, and I made sure to buy one for 3,000 gold. On the 24th of spring, my chickens produced their first eggs, which meant I could officially cook the first recipe of the challenge, the fried egg. And fittingly, I also needed one for the chef's bundle inside the community centre. The next recipe was the omelette. For that I would need milk, and I also needed to wait till the 28th of spring to watch Queen of the Sauce. After the flower dance, I built a barn and prepared for cows. Then I waited outside Emily's bedroom like a creep to give her a birthday gift. That was enough to push her to 3 hearts, meaning she would send me the salad recipe in the mail. By the end of the season, I had the next 3 cooking recipes unlocked. All I needed now was milk. Going into summer, my focus was yet again on money. I planted a huge field of melons, not just for the recipes, but also for the gold. A lot of recipes required Ginger Island being unlocked, which meant I was going to need the gold to finish the vault bundle and also wrap up the community centre. On the 5th of summer, my cows had finally produced some milk. That meant I could cook the omelette. The next one was salad, and that was also quite easy, requiring only a leek and dandelion, which I already had from spring. The cheese cauliflower was next. I had a cauliflower from spring, and once I unlocked the cheese press, it was only a matter of time before I could tick that one off. Whilst I was waiting to reach level 6 farming, I decided to try and work on the next few recipes coming up. The baked fish was easy, parsnip soup was fine, vegetable medley. That's where things started to go very wrong. The ingredients itself wasn't really an issue, it was how you get the recipe. Vegetable medley requires 7 hearts with Caroline, and that was the moment I realised this challenge wasn't just going to be slow, it was going to be painful. Still, I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know why I'm complaining for. That was until I looked at what the next recipe was. The complete breakfast. The complete breakfast can only be obtained from Queen of the Sauce TV show in year 2. And if that wasn't worse enough, it also requires hash browns and pancakes, which are 2 recipes I cannot make yet, as they come after the complete breakfast. Now the challenge was officially in trouble, and little did I know, this single cooking recipe would be the one thing that would haunt me for this entire challenge. In typical Tom fashion, I pushed that problem to the back of my mind for now, and focused on everything else I could do in the meantime, which consisted of friendships and the community centre. During the early days of summer, I spent some days fishing tuna and super cucumbers, which I then smoked to afford the Vault bundle. At the luau, I made sure to drop a smoked halibut into the soup in order to boost friendship with everyone in town. On the 13th of summer, I had a giant melon harvest, literally, and completed the final Vault bundle. That would unlock the bus and also the Skull Caverns. Around the same time, I hit level 6 farming and finally unlocked the cheese press. Since the desert was now unlocked, I made my first dive into the Skull Caverns. It was pretty tough without a galaxy sword, but I was only here for the iridium ore. All of this iridium will fund any of my future endeavours and also some tool upgrades. On the 16th, despite it being Green Rain Day, my cheese was ready. That meant I could cook cheese cauliflower and then the baked fish. But then after that, everything stalled to a halt. The next recipes were locked behind Caroline's mail and also the complete breakfast. And there's no way around this problem now. We have to go in order. But that meant we had to wait until spring of year 2 in order to watch the Queen of the Sauce show and unlock the complete breakfast recipe. Or so I thought. But after checking the wiki, I remembered a single important item in the game that could flip this challenge on its head. The Queen of the Sauce cookbook. Reading it gives you every single recipe you missed from the show, including future ones, although it wasn't going to be that easy. For one, it costs 50,000 gold, and it only spawns in the bookseller's shop after finding 100 golden walnuts. So with nothing else to do, getting 100 golden walnuts became the next objective. That wasn't the only problem though. I still needed to make the complete breakfast and get pancakes and hash browns. I did have a plan to make the complete breakfast, but it scares me. Pancakes do have a small chance to be sent as a gift in the mail by a few different villagers, but I just couldn't rely on that chance of it happening. But it turns out, in the saloon, Gus offers a random cooked dish every day. And what do you know? In this long table of possible dishes is both hash browns and pancakes. So from now on, I would make it part of my daily routine to check the dish of the day to see whether he was selling either of those items. I was also on the lookout for the tortillas as well, as I would need one for the lucky lunch and one for the fish taco, which also annoyingly comes before the tortilla recipe. And by the time summer was coming to a close, my friendships were climbing up, most ingredients were prepared, and luckily today I managed to buy some hash browns. By the middle of winter, I had unlocked several more recipes through friendship, but the complete breakfast still loomed over me like a ghost. But I did manage to wrap up the community centre and finally repair the boat to Ginger Island. I wasn't just here for the 100 golden walnuts. There were actually 5 recipes exclusive to Ginger Island. Mango sticky rice and poi come from Leo at 3 and 7 hearts. Ginger ale is sold by the Volcano Dwarf. Banana pudding comes from the Island Trader. And tropical curry is sold by Gus, but only when he visits the island, which can take a while. My first day on the island was spent collecting a load of golden walnuts, unlocking the island east, and then the dig site in the evening. The next day I went straight into the volcano to get even more golden walnuts, and on floor 5 I went to speak to the dwarf to buy the ginger ale, until I realised I couldn't understand him. That's right, I haven't got the translation guide yet. After taking a long time to solve the memory puzzle, I had enough golden walnuts to repair the island resort. That meant every day it wasn't raining on the island, or a festival day, Gus will have a chance at visiting. By the 22nd of winter, Gus still hadn't visited the island yet, but my recipe list looked full. I was still missing a lot, but most of them were still locked behind the Queen of the Sauce show. Before I forgot, I made sure to repair the island trader and unlocked banana pudding for 30 bone pieces. In order to get the dwarf translation guide, I'd need to donate all 4 dwarf scrolls. I was missing 2, so I spent the entire day tilling in the mines. But once I found them both, I could drop them off at the museum, get the translation guide, head back to floor 5 and finally buy the ginger ale recipe. Not long after, I managed to buy some tortillas from Gus, which was perfect, both the lucky lunch and fish taco. As soon as I managed to get my hands on a banana sapling, I planted it straight away, as it would take 28 days to grow and I'd need banana for some recipes. And that's all I did for the first year. And we were only 6 recipes down. It doesn't seem that great, does it? It may seem like a slow year, but I had collected most, if not every item I needed to make all of the recipes, and the only thing that was stopping me was the Queen of the Sauce cookbook, some pancakes for the complete breakfast, and a few more tricky recipes. One of those tricky recipes arrived at my door on spring 1 of year 2, Kent. Well, I don't mean the actual recipe knocked on the door, but the guy who would give me 2 recipes. Yeah, that makes sense. Right, guys? Anyway, of course I would have to wait until year 2 anyway, since Kent arrives in the valley here, and of course he has 2 recipes which he sends the player at 3 and 7 hearts, which meant even more friendships, yay! On the 4th of spring, I completed the Gourmand Frog quest, which gave me 15 more golden walnuts, and was enough to reach 100 and unlock Mr. Key's walnut room. But after reaching 100, that meant the next time the bookseller was in town, he would sell the Queen of the Sauce cookbook, and on the 11th, it was there for 50,000 gold. After reading it, it gave me 14 new recipes, which was just incredible, and this was how the cooking collection looked. Of course you can see I've made 6, and pretty much all of the rest of the recipes were ready to be made. If it wasn't for that stupid complete breakfast. We still had to make the vegetable medley before that, so I bought some beets from Sandy and planted them inside the greenhouse. I took some time to go through every single recipe in the game and sort out everything I needed. If I didn't have something, I'd plant it straight away. That meant when I could finally get my hands on pancakes, I could make the complete breakfast and power through a large chunk of them. And the game was clearly aware of my struggles and decided to mock me by giving me the complete breakfast inside a mystery box. Annoyingly, during the desert festival, Gus wasn't going to be at the saloon, so I spent the time collecting a few more items I needed. On the 19th, however, I strolled into the saloon and he wasn't there. Instead, he was on Ginger Island. This would finally allow me to buy the tropical curry recipe from him, which was just super great to get over and done with. And after checking the saloon for many days, on the 27th of spring, he sold a single dish of pancakes, which meant I could finally make the complete breakfast and begin crossing off a bunch of recipes. That started with the vegetable medley, complete breakfast, fried calamari, strange bun, lucky lunch, fried mushroom, all the way up until pumpkin soup. I couldn't make any more progress since the super meal was next, and the recipe was sent to you from Kent once you made it to 7 hearts with him, which left the only ones I hadn't gotten yet being the super meal, poi and mango sticky rice from Leo. And one thing I love about Stardew Valley is its humour. Of course, we've already had it give me a complete breakfast in a mystery box, and today's way of the game saying I hate you was sending me some pancakes in the mail, which I had spent months waiting for. It's almost over. I did manage to get the poi from Leo the very next morning, and around the middle of summer, I had made it to 7 hearts with Kent, and he sent me the recipe for the super meal, which meant another giant cooking session inside the kitchen. That allowed me to complete a load more recipes up until ginger ale, leaving only 6 more to go. On the 26th, I had managed to reach 7 hearts with Leo and invited him to stay on the main island. And whilst I was on the island, I made sure to grab some bananas and mangoes before leaving to make the banana pudding. It was nice to see Leo's hut being built the next morning, but what I was really interested in was the mango sticky rice recipe in the mail, which allowed me to make the final 5 recipes. And just like that, I had completed the Stardew Valley cooking collection in order. This challenge was definitely more difficult than I had expected, and that mainly boiled down to timing. Half of this challenge was just waiting for things to happen, keeping track of every single ingredient you might need for recipes, and a bit of luck, especially with Gus's dish of the day and him visiting Ginger Island. And honestly, it makes me a little bit scared for what comes next, because the next collection in order I have to do is fishing, and that one might be the worst one yet. If you enjoyed this video and want to see how badly the next one goes, you'll probably want to stick around. so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But for now, thanks for watching. Later.